Hello and welcome to a reading and analysis of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. Today we're going to be taking a look at Act 4, Scene 3, another short scene in the play, but some important information and some really good insults in here. So let's dive right in. It starts with the king talking to just two or three, it says. So this could be a variety of actors. I have sent to seek him and to find the body. How dangerous is it that this man goes loose, yet must not we put the strong law on him? He's loved of the distracted multitude, who like not in their judgment, but their eyes. And, where 'tis so, the offender's scourge is weighed, but never the offense. To bear all smooth and even, this sudden sending him away must seem deliberate pause. Diseases desperate grown by desperate appliance are relieved, or not at all. So a couple of, lost sight of the screen there. A couple of interesting things that we see here. Kind of working backwards in the line. Claudius, again, refers to Hamlet as a disease, which we've talked about many times, how serious that was back then. Words like plague, pestilence, disease, that sort of stuff. And then we get a repeated, again, working backwards, to bear all smooth and even, the sudden sending him away, right? He wants to send Hamlet to England. But before that, he tells us, we understand why he wants to send him to England. He just killed someone and won't give the body up. But he tells us why he has to tread carefully. He says, we must not put the strong law on him. You might be wondering, well, Hamlet murdered someone. Can't Claudius, who wants to deal with Hamlet, just put him in jail? That's what you would do. But you have to remember, Hamlet is a prince. So he gets a different treatment than the commoner. And he is loved of the distracted multitude. That would be the citizenry, the people. Who like not in their judgment, but their eyes. So I guess he's handsome, but basically he's well liked. So it would be a bad political move for the king to just throw Hamlet in jail or punish him to the fullest extent of the law. So enter Rosencrantz. How now, what hath befallen? Where the dead body is bestowed, my lord, we cannot get from him. But where is he? Without, my lord, guarded to know your pleasure. Bring him before us. Ho, bring in the lord. They enter with Hamlet. Now, Hamlet, where's Polonius? At supper. At supper where? Not where he eats. So we switched to prose here, that Hamlet's responses are very different. We're no longer in the verse of the court. We're in prose here, where Hamlet's going to play around with his wording a lot. Not where he eats, but where he is eaten. A certain convocation of politic worms are even at him. Your worm is your only emperor for diet. We fat all creatures else to fat us, and we fat ourselves for maggots. Your fat king and lean beggar is but variable service, 2 dishes but to 1 table. That's the end. Alas, alas. So he says that Polonius is at supper, which sounds ridiculous because Polonius is dead. But he explains, because there's a method to the madness, that Polonius is not eating supper. He is being eaten as supper. And then Hamlet has a lot of talk about how we're all just basically destined to be worm food. And how a fat king and a lean beggar are just 2 different dishes. It's just variable service, just different options for the maggots and the worms that will eventually feed on everyone. Hamlet goes on and says, a man may fish with the worm that hath eat of a king and eat of the fish that have fed of that worm. Basically meaning that a man could, if you follow the logic, a man could fish with a worm, and that worm maybe ate a king. And then that fish eats the worm, and the man eats the fish. So we get this circle of life. You might be familiar with a certain Disney movie that takes a lot of inspiration from Hamlet, perhaps. But it's not what they talk about in the Lion King exactly, but it is the circle of life. But what's interesting in there is that it's talking about a dead king. That's the second time Hamlet's brought up a dead king being eaten by worms. And of course, the king could be his father, so reflecting on his father's death, but it could also be a threat to Claudius, the current king. And the next lines to me at least, seem to infer that it's probably more of a threat. What dost thou mean by this? Nothing, but to show you how a king may go a progress through the guts of a beggar. Where is Polonius? In heaven. Send thither to see him. If your messenger find him not there, seek him in the other place yourself. So send a messenger to find him in heaven, but if he's not there, he must be in the other place, which would be hell. And Claudius can go find him himself there. So basically telling Claudius to go to hell, and that's where he's going to go. So that's what I meant, the threatening aspect of talking about the dead king being eaten there. But if indeed you find him not within this month, you shall nose him as you go up the stairs into the lobby. Go seek him there. So basically he says, like, I put him under the stairs of the lobby. Wow. He will stay till you come. Just quite a line. So we get a little bit of comedy back in Hamlet here. Hamlet, this deed for thine especial safety, which we do tender as we dearly grieve for that which thou hast done, for that which thou hast done, must send thee hence with fiery quickness. Therefore prepare thyself. The bark is ready, bark meaning boat, and the wind it help. The associates tend, and everything is bent for England. So he tells Hamlet, for your own good, because we love you so much, we must send you to England, and we must do it very, very fast. For England, I, Hamlet, good. Which is, it feels like an argument with a teenager. Like, go to your room. My room? Yes, good. That's where I want to go, right? Very defiant, Hamlet here. So it is, if thou knewest our purposes. I see a cherub that sees them, but come for England. Farewell, dear mother. So a cherub is heaven's angel. So Hamlet suggests that he can see Claudius's purposes here, seeing through the plan a little bit. And then he says, farewell, dear mother, to Claudius. Thy loving father, Hamlet. My mother. Father and mother is man and wife is one flesh. And so my mother. Come for England. So again, the antic disposition is at full swing here. But there's always a logic to explain the ridiculous answer. That's what makes Hamlet such an interesting, kind of fun character. Even though he did just stab Polonius. I'm not saying I condone Hamlet's actions, but I can be amused by his witty retorts on stage for sure. The Hamlet is taken off with attendants. The king says, follow him at foot, tempt him with speed abroad. Delay it not. I'll have him hence tonight. Away, for everything is sealed and done. That else leans on the affair. Pray you, make haste. So sends people out to get England to be sent to England. Oh, gosh. Sends people out to get Hamlet to be sent to England tonight. Very interesting, right? That he's going to England. Of course, this play is being performed in England when Shakespeare writes it for an English audience. And we get a little commentary on England here. The king says, and England, meaning the king of England, the rulers of England, but also England itself, right? One and the same for them back then. And England, if my love thou holdest at aught, as my great power thereof may give thee sense, since yet the cicatrice. Yeah. I know what the word means, but I did not practice saying it out loud before this. I'll start this line over. And England, if my love thou holdest at aught, as my great power thereof may give thee sense, yet since thy cicatrice, which means a wound, a scar, looks raw and red after the Danish sword, and thy free awe pays homage to us, thou mayest not coldly set our sovereign process, which imports at full. So before we get to what he's asking them to do, he basically says, England, listen to me, because I've wounded you in the past. So I don't know if there's a historical precedence here. I assume there is, but it's suggesting, maybe not, I don't know. It's suggesting that Denmark has dealt wounds and defeats to England, whether maybe it's through trade, maybe it's through war, but either way, England is intimidated by Denmark here. Maybe it's all a big joke to the English. I don't know. I'm not familiar with English-Danish hostilities in European history. But basically, and at least for the purposes of the play, Denmark has reason to believe they have power over England. And because of that, England is going to need to do this for Claudius. So he says, thou mayest not coldly set our sovereign process, which imports at full by letters congruing to that effect the present death of Hamlet. So there will be letters when they arrive that says put Hamlet to death. Do it, England, for like the hectic in my blood he rages, and thou must cure me, till I know 'tis done, howe'er my haps, my joys were ne'er begun. Howe'er my haps means whatever my fortunes. So a lot of what Claudius has planned is gone to plan, right? He wanted to be king. He killed his brother. I assume he wanted Gertrude. He has Gertrude. Everything is going according to plan, but until Hamlet is dead, he will not be able to rest. He will not fully be able to appreciate his fortunes, his good fortunes, until that moment. It's very similar, if you've read Macbeth, to I'm going to try and not give spoilers for those of you who haven't. If you're reading Macbeth, I have a full live stream. Finish that place. You can watch that if you're interested. But in that play, Macbeth achieves something that he is after, but there's another character who, because of some things that witches said, even though he's achieved what he wanted, he can't fully be at peace yet, because there's a threat to his power. And you see that here with Claudius and Hamlet. And this is something that I assume would have felt very, very real to Shakespeare's audience. Monarchs were being assassinated and threatened and attacked constantly. So yeah, absolutely, Claudius can't rest until Hamlet's dead. And that is quite a short, but quite an interesting little scene. So I hope that was of value to you. If it was at all of value to you, I would greatly appreciate any likes or comments. Definitely helps these videos out. They do not reach the widest audience. I don't know if there's millions of people looking for a detailed reading of Act 4, Scene 3 of Hamlet, but I appreciate all of you who have found this video. So thank you so much for watching. And if you're in the market for any notebooks, you can check out in the description. There is a link for fieldnotes.com with a code that gets you 10% off your first order. I love these little notebooks. I think they are phenomenal. And if you purchase through that link and code, it helps the channel out greatly. That is what makes these live streams financially viable for the channel. So not that there's a lot of cost other than time and effort, but they do not reach a ton of views, and that's okay. But some people have bought some notebooks, and that really helps out. So thank you so much, those of you who have. And if you're interested, go for it. If you're not, no worries. Don't buy anything you don't really need or want at this moment. So thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you in 4-4. Leave any questions down below. I'll try to get to all of them. And happy reading.